Everybody wants to know, why'd you walk away from $50 million?
Well, I wasn't walking away from the money.
Yeah.
I was walking away from the circumstances that were coming with the newfound plateau.
The talk of the town right now is the so-called Hollywood Mutt scandal. Rumors that Dave Chappelle has finally opened up about how Kevin Hart climbed his way to the top. This isn't just regular Hollywood chatter. It's the kind of talk that gets people watching interviews twice and digging up old clips to connect the dots.
Like when I connect dots that maybe shouldn't be connected, I don't know. But certain dots, like when I see that they put every black man in the movies in a dress at some point in their career, I'll be connecting them down like, wow, all these brothers gotta wear a dress. This happened to me. I'm doing a movie with Martin.
Yeah.
The movie's going good. So I walk in the trailer. I'm like, man, this must be the wrong trailer because there's a dress in here.
The story making the rounds claims that Dave believes Kevin's rise to power wasn't purely about jokes, timing, or talent. It was about compliance. In other words, doing what the system demanded, even when it went against everything Kevin once stood for. The word mutt in this context isn't about insult. It's a metaphor for being mixed, molded, and trained by the industry until you become what they need you to be. And according to what's been circulating online, Dave's implying Kevin's fame came with a price that most would never dare to pay. Now, these two names, Chappelle and Hart, carry serious weight in the comedy world. Dave is known for his brutal honesty, someone who exposed the cracks in Hollywood's surface long before social media made it fashionable. He called out exploitation, manipulation, and spiritual compromise in showbiz years before selling out became a trending phrase. Kevin Hart, on the other hand, represents Hollywood's golden boy image, polished, consistent, brand safe, and constantly visible. His grind is undeniable. He went from small comedy clubs to leading Hollywood blockbusters, selling out arenas, and building a production empire. But behind all that shine, people wonder what he had to give up to get there.
Dave Chappelle, another great comedian, said that, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts? And is there something that, you wouldn't do, for
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have boundaries. You have to have limits that you refuse to cross. For me, I know what they are. They've yet to been challenged, so I don't have to speak on them. I was asked to dribble a basketball on a talk show this morning.
You look
said
good
no to
doing
that. Not that was a dress, but I was like, no, I'm gonna look stupid. At the end of the day, you gotta know that you're a brand. I'm a brand. You need to protect your brand at all times. When things happen that can possibly affect your brand, your brand can be diminished, and you don't want that to happen. So, protecting my brand is definitely a priority.
That's where Dave's alleged remarks hit hardest, because if anyone knows the cost of saying no to Hollywood, it's him. The rumor suggests that Dave's been quietly voicing concerns about how the industry rewards compliance and punishes rebellion. And if you've watched Dave's career unfold, you know he doesn't just throw shade, he drops wisdom wrapped in humor. So when his words supposedly target Kevin, fans listen closely. The internet's buzzing with claims that Chappelle called Kevin a Hollywood mutt, meaning someone who adapted too much, someone who traded edge for approval. It's a heavy accusation, especially coming from a man who walked away from a $50 million deal to protect his integrity. But that's the difference between the two. Dave chose exile, Kevin chose elevation. And in a business built on control, those choices define everything. To understand why this story resonates, it helps to look back at what Dave's always said about Hollywood.
Dave Chappelle, another great comedian, said that, in the industry, they tried to make him wear a dress. Have you ever ran into that with scripts? And is there something that, you wouldn't do, for
I definitely haven't ran into to put on the dress. I mean, you have to have.
He's been open about how the industry tries to break you, how it tests your limits, controls your image, and strips away your freedom piece by piece. He walked away from fame in 2005, not because he couldn't handle success, but because he saw what came with it. The manipulation, the forced narratives, the play along or disappear mentality, that's what drove him out. Years later, when he returned, he came back on his terms, owning his name, his platform, and his message. That's why fans respect him. He's not just funny, he's fearless. Kevin's path couldn't be more different. He's the definition of mainstream success. Network deals, brand sponsorships, major film roles, and a carefully crafted image as the family-friendly comic everyone can love. And that's exactly why Dave's rumored critique cuts deep.
It's the writer comes in. I think he's the writer. He's like, Dave, listen, we got this hilarious scene where Martin's sneaking out of jail. So he disguises you as a prostitute. And he put this dress on. And, Mutt is a prostitute? Nah, I'm not doing that. I don't feel comfortable with that. That should have been in the discussion. What? You don't feel comfortable with it? I mean, it's a hilarious bit. All the greats have done it. So, well, if all the greats have done it, it's kind of hacky, right? You're a writer. So why don't we just not do it? Because I don't feel comfortable wearing a dress. Oh, come on, Dave. Listen, we got it all set up. We're supposed to shoot. Every minute you waste costs this much.
The suggestion is that Kevin's success wasn't just about hard work. It was about submission to Hollywood's unspoken rules. Things like avoiding controversy, staying neutral, and keeping quiet about the machine that runs everything behind the scenes. In Dave's eyes, that's not freedom. It's obedience. And while Kevin's smiling on red carpets, Dave's warning about how those same lights blind people to what's really going on. Social media has been running wild with theories since the phrase Hollywood Mutt hit the conversation. Fans are revisiting old interviews where Kevin talked about how Hollywood changes you, or how he had to learn to play the game. Some are even bringing up his apology tour after losing the Oscar hosting gig over old tweets.
Types. What do you want, Shanae?
Oh my goodness. If it isn't Little Miss Attitude, why are you always over here?
To many, that was the moment Kevin showed how much power Hollywood really has over its stars. He had to bow down even when he didn't want to, just to stay in good standing. Chappelle, on the other hand, would have doubled down, lit a cigarette, and laughed in their faces. That contrast right there is what makes this story so fascinating. It's not about jealousy or hate. It's about two completely different codes of honor in an industry built on compromise. Dave's rumored comments have also revived the conversation about how fame can deform identity. He's always warned that Hollywood doesn't just make stars, it manufactures them. The system decides who gets love, who gets silence, and who gets canceled. And once it molds you, it owns you. The phrase Hollywood Mutt might sound harsh, but in Chappelle's world, it's about loss of authenticity. He's suggesting that when someone lets the machine rewire their beliefs, tone down their truth, and sanitize their message, they stop being themselves. They become a brand puppet. And in a way, Kevin Hart's story fits that description perfectly to some observers. He's done everything right, said everything safe, and kept his reputation intact. But to Chappelle's kind of mind, that very perfection looks suspicious. What makes this even deeper is the cultural layer. Both men represent Black excellence in comedy, but they approach it differently. Chappelle uses his platform to challenge narratives about race, politics, and media manipulation.
I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When
you say you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Kevin focuses on universal humor, making everyone laugh without offending anyone. But Chappelle's rumored criticism cuts into that. He's basically saying, if your success depends on staying silent about truth, then who really owns you? It's a question that hits home in Hollywood, where image is everything and silence is currency. The idea that Kevin might have sold out isn't new, but tying it to Chappelle gives it extra weight because Dave's seen the game up close. He's been offered the same deals, heard the same promises, and still walked away. That's why this alleged rift feels symbolic. It's not just personal, it's generational. The public split on this whole thing. Some say Dave's out of line for judging Kevin's choices. Others say he's right for exposing how fake the system really is. What's clear is that both paths come with pain. Kevin's constantly under pressure to maintain perfection, while Dave carries the burden of being the truth teller in a world that hates honesty. The more people talk about this so-called Hollywood Mutt remark, the more it feels like a bigger reflection on fame itself. In Hollywood, you can be adored or authentic, but rarely both. And that's the real message people are picking up from Chappelle's side of the story. Another thing fueling this story is the idea that Dave Chappelle has always seen himself as a watchdog for entertainers. Over the years, he's spoken about how contracts, networks, and power brokers use psychological tricks to control talent. He called it out during his interviews about Chappelle's show, saying that creative freedom comes second to corporate profit. So when he sees someone like Kevin thriving inside that same system, it's easy to imagine him wondering what was traded to keep things that smooth.
Yeah, the producers come on, David, would be so great. I mean, and then I started thinking about it. All the comics that I've seen, man, strong brothers, why they be putting us in these dresses? But the minute it was clear, I was adamant, I'm not wearing a dress, I'm not wearing the dress. All right, fine, think of something else. Guy comes back 10 minutes later, the whole new scene. Damn, how did you write the scene so fast?
Rumor or not, Dave's known for throwing coded shots in his stand-up routines, subtle jabs that point to deeper truths. Fans are now going back through his specials like Detectives, wondering if those bits about Hollywood pets and obedient comedians were low-key aimed at Kevin all along. But Kevin's not just some pawn either. He's built one of the most powerful entertainment empires in comedy. From Laugh Out Loud Network to major Netflix deals, he's running things on a business level that few comedians ever reach. The problem is, the bigger you get in Hollywood, the less control you actually have. Everyone's watching you, judging your moves, and waiting for you to slip up. That's why Chappelle's alleged comment about Kevin being a Hollywood mutt feels so heavy. It suggests that success without rebellion might not be success at all. It's a reminder that in Hollywood, the system rewards compliance and disguises it as achievement. And maybe that's what Dave wants people to wake up to. This whole controversy also taps into the growing awareness of how entertainment shapes public thinking. Chappelle's always said comedy is supposed to tell truth through laughter, but when the laughter is filtered through corporate rules, it loses its power. That's what he's hinting at. The industry doesn't want truth, it wants control. And Kevin, intentionally or not, represents the kind of entertainer Hollywood prefers. Funny but safe, popular but predictable. Whether that's fair or not, it's the perception that keeps this story alive. Because when one of the world's greatest truth tellers allegedly calls another one Hollywood's product, it forces everyone to question what real success even looks like anymore. At the end of it all, this isn't just a story about two comedians. It's a story about integrity versus opportunity. Dave Chappelle and Kevin Hart stand on opposite sides of the same battlefield. One fights to stay independent, the other fights to stay relevant. Both have made it to the top, but they represent different philosophies of survival. Dave's path is isolation and truth-telling. Kevin's is diplomacy and empire building. So when people say Dave exposed Kevin as a Hollywood mutt, what they're really reacting to is the clash between authenticity and assimilation. It's a conversation that's been happening for decades, but never hits as hard as when it's between two legends who started from the same stage. The Hollywood mutt phrase might sound scandalous, but it's deeper than gossip. It's symbolic of what happens when the culture of art collides with the business of entertainment. For Dave, staying pure means staying broke, misunderstood, or even blacklisted. For Kevin, staying marketable means staying careful, calculated, and constantly monitored. Both are paying a price, just in different currencies. And that's what this rumor has really exposed. Not a feud, but a truth about how the system divides artists. In the end, the public decides who wins, but behind the scenes, both of them are fighting their own version of the same war. The story's still making rounds across YouTube, podcasts, and blogs, but one thing's for sure, it's got people questioning the nature of fame again. Are stars like Kevin just playing the game, or are they trapped by it? Is Dave bitter, or just brave enough to call out what everyone else ignores? The answers depend on who's watching, but the conversation itself shows how powerful these two voices remain. Hollywood runs on illusion, but every now and then, someone like Dave steps up and reminds the world that behind all the laughter, there's a price to pay. If you're digging this breakdown and want more deep dives into the wild world of celebrity rumors, hidden truths, and entertainment power plays, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for more.